Hello and welcome to the Space Money Talks debate, in which we will be discussing Robo-Advice with a panel of experts including advisors, providers, technology companies and also a consumer group. Today, first of all, we want to ask the panel what they think the definition of Robo-Advice exactly is.
So Robo-Advice, we understand Robo-Advice to be an online tool that provides automated, algorithmic-based advice without or with limited use of a human financial advisor.
And what do the panel think of that?
My only challenge with the definition is the use of the word advice. What do we mean by advice? The FCA has 5 different definitions of advice. Government thinks advice is something else, and there's a number of public bodies that give advice which is not regulated or financial advice. So the word advice is the challenging part of that definition for me.
But do we think Robo-Advice exists in the UK already? Is there something out there that is roughly meeting the definition?
Well, I started giving robo-advice, we call it e-advice, which I think is better anyway, in the field of debt 10 years ago, in September 2006. And that has been enormously successful in the areas which we did it, building from a 10-year data warehouse in order to be able to put all that expertise through into the decision logic system we used. What hasn't happened, however, is that kind of advice taking over into other areas because of the barriers that exist.
I think it's worth adding on that LV launched a tool in June 2015 called Retirement Wizard, which provides algorithmic advice, full advice with a personal recommendation, a suitability report. So it is possible within the current regulations to actually deliver a fully automated system. That doesn't mean we don't use people in the process as well. There is always QCF level advisors available for people who want support, but algorithmic advice is a reality today.
I think there's a huge disconnect here because there's no doubt about it that you can use computers to help an advisor produce an advice recommendation more quickly. But the idea that the computer actually delivers the full and final advice to the customer that they then buy, I just think is a fallacy.
Does robo-advice in any form sit on its own? And I don't believe it does. That human support actually adds value, even if it's not used that often. And that's been our experience with it.
One of the difficulties I find at retirement is that people are simply not equipped to answer the questions in the first place. So you spend an awful lot of time helping people understand the issues so that they're able to answer the questions. And so you can take robo-advice once people have a certain level of understanding, but the question is how do you get that understanding in the first place?
According to the what were they at the time? FSA? 9 out of the 11 risk analysis tools that they looked at in 2011 failed. To be able, to accurately predict the risk appetite of a customer. I just think that we need to create a solution for the future. We have the opportunity of creating something for the future rather than reflecting on where we've been, and the sitting down face-to-face advice is not necessarily what people of the next generation want or need. And that difference there is something that we need to overcome. And it's not going to be easy. There is a gap, and you might be right in that it's guidance that's the answer. But the surveys say, the surveys say that it's the minority of customers that would be prepared to pay up to £200 for advice.
Indeed, yeah.
And many customers consider that it should be free.
Yeah.
Now maybe as a financial service industry we've dug our own hole.
Yes.
But if you look at the type of software you can get with Facebook and many more, Google, for free.
Yeah.
How come that we're asking them to use a robo-advice module that costs £195? All of this stuff's going to end up having to be free.
I agree, branding is critical, but I worry that if advice becomes free, it actually devalues it.
I'm also concerned that there is what I call a race to the bottom on price, that we can all start discounting down on price with we call it robo-advice in our service, remote advice rather than robotic advice. But there is an issue of a race to the bottom because we could actually find that we are moving down to a free platform and then we will find that it's non-profitable.
But is it advertising? Does that work? Is it social media? Is it what is this new landscape? Like, for example, Chris, Keith, you try and get people to come on and use your systems that are meant to be very good on the technology and they're meant to be a very easy process. I'm assuming you can correct me if it's a difficult one,
No,
but
you're doing fine. Keep
yeah,
going.
yeah. So how do you get them to sit down? That's surely the.
I think from our point of view, when we take saidso.co.uk, we've got an issue, it is in its infancy, and I also think the market's in its infancy. So we have been slightly cautious in, I do think it's going to be advertising, I do think it's going to be marketing that needs to really be upped to get people to buy into the process. But the reality of the situation is that we're not sure the public is ready for it yet. And we think that might take another year before they start to get to the reality that there are additional systems such as Robo-Advice, so they don't have to come and sit in front of the likes of me in my Guildford office and wonder how much it's going to cost them.
So for us with A in the Box, we've got professional distributors who run businesses independently. So we've got 380 accountants, IFAs and solicitors who are the human face of A in the Box out in the marketplace. So our distribution model is slightly different in terms of having a platform that helps them, but with professionals on the ground that can support them through the process.
So who wins, or are we in any position to know yet, and even what do we mean by win when we say that?
I think one of the winners will be those people that can give people, what they want. And I didn't really get an answer to the question, what is it that clients want? And I think if I'm to answer it, I think what people want is they want, a trusted brand to give them good information, to help them make a decision and to transact all in one place.
I put it the other way around. I think people want to be empowered. They want access to a mechanism that enables them to give them the knowledge to be able to make their own decision.
Actually, what I see is the partnership between people building really good technology products and the people with clients. So you've got the link between the individuals with customers and the people developing good ideas.
What exactly is the technology we're talking about? What are the bits and pieces that are allowing these advances?
I think there's a combination of things that we're talking about here. You're talking about algorithms that are effectively decision based. So what information is being put in for the algorithm to actually make use of. You're talking about some of the tools that Mike referred to earlier, looking at attitude to risk, but actually making sure those tools are used correctly and making sure the customer understands why they're answering questions. There's a bit of behavioural economics in there, there's a bit of psychometric testing, and actually at the end of the day it's all about the user interface and making sure that it's simple and intuitive for the customer to understand.
I also think the industry is very good at putting information out for people to come to look at. What it's not very good is at looking at its customers and feeding them information and seeing how they respond to it. And by doing that you can build up more of a story of who your customers are, what they're interested in, and again then position yourself more appropriately for advice.
The advance of social media though has been a massive boon to Robo-Advice to financial advisors and being able to reach far greater markets than they ever have done before. And I think that hopefully that will carry on.
Well, if Robo-Advice is to provide an online tool that provides automated algorithmic-based advice without the use of a human being, does that mean that the Robo-Advice software manufacturer is going to provide the IFA with a warranty that if the advice provided fails, they're going to pay the claim? Because the PI insurer might be quite interested to find the answer to that.
I mean, certainly in our case, we're in discussion with a number of organisations, including IFAs, and we're quite happy to carry that liability risk. If you're taking use of the LV Retirement Wizard and you're using the algorithms therein and using our advice standards, then we actually carry that liability.
The cost of providing face-to-face advice in the debt sector is something like £250 a session. On the telephone, it's something like £50 a session. Online, it's less than £5, probably about £3 for the same quality of advice.
What happens if Robo-Advice goes wrong? If someone either has the algorithm wrong, which is possible, I'm sure, or if simply someone's put maybe the wrong sort of portfolio at the bottom and they haven't worked out the risk or the capacity for loss, and obviously lots of different players are putting something like a Robo-Advice offer out there in the market. Some are going to mess it up a little bit. that's bad reputationally for everyone, surely.
We're pretty confident we haven't messed it up, but you get the full protection of the law. So you're dealing with an FCA regulated mechanism. You have access to the Ombudsman, to the Financial Compensation Scheme. So you have exactly the same protections you have as if you dealt with an individual who made the same mistakes.
This is a huge evolution, the whole thing, and the reality is that as usage goes up, there's going to be correctly compliance teams who are going to be checking outcomes to make sure that the system works but can be proven to work.
Okay, and on that note, I'd like to thank the panel very much for debating many of the issues around robo-advice today, and hopefully we provided some of the answers, if not quite all.